The time, June 2023. The place, Sollefteå, Sweden. During Berget 19, the biggest international airsoft game in Sweden. 3 sides battled it out on a 10 square kilometer beautiful woodland field. Red, blue, yellow, and some civilians try their hardest to complete the missions. And everything goes well until suddenly, in the Red HQ, the phone rings. It's Berget crew, and they're calling from the blue base, where all hell broke loose. Do you know anything about Spies in the blue base? Have you received videos from the morning briefings made by your spies? And airsofters like their drama, and this is no different. And the extent of the spy story, I didn't put any energy, time, or effort into it until after the game. Things got blown up way out of proportions. So I needed to do something. And this is what I did. Oh, and for the people that weren't at the game, this is still a very interesting story, so stick around and you will notice why. The most difficult part of this video is, how am I going to present this to you in a YouTube video? How am I going to make this clear what happened? So I will do a few things. I will explain you what I did to find out the true story, because that is the first thing that you need to do. Secondly, I will recreate the whole process on where the story was created, which elements came into the story at which time, and how all those things got included into the story to the story as it is today. Well, at least the latest version that I heard of the story. I talked to the blue players, commanders, infantry, mechanized. I talked to the red players, same thing, commanders, infantry, mechanized. I talked to some yellow people. I talked to crew. I talked to civilians to complete the whole story. Now, and all that information gave me this. I know, it was a lot of digging, but I found out the truth. And if somebody else thinks I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments and we have a discussion about it. Because most of the stuff is covered here, but every input is welcome to complete the story even more. Let's go over a few things that happened on site. Blue HQ started a witch hunt. Blue players were placed in fictional prisons for being traitors. Berget crew came on site to calm everyone down. People lost hours and hours of game time. The morale plummeted on that side for a lot of people. Accusations were made during and after the game, and much, much more. And that was only the first week after Berget. I have no idea how the story developed to the time that we are today, because it took me a while to make this video. But what actually happened according to all the stories that you heard? Now, 25th Mountaineers have spies in the blue base, and they were spying for the blue, sending information to the red. Videos were recording from the morning briefings, and they were sent to the red HQ for, I don't know, working out their battle plans. But you can say, like, this happens all the time. Every airsoft games, there are people talking about, ooh, that side is cheating, these people are doing that, this is going wrong on that side. And you're completely through. But this was one of the first time where our complete team was mentioned, and that I couldn't just let it slide. Well, I sat down behind my PC, cracked my fingers, and I started with the beginning and worked my way up. And talking to everyone who came in my way and listened to their story, and then to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, till I talked my way up from the soldiers to HQ, back to commanders, back to HQ. And actually 2 different stories started showing up. And at that time, I didn't know if they were connected or they were just loose stories. 1. Red team has red spies in the blue base that are giving information to the red HQ. 2. Videos are recorded from the morning briefings and sent to the red HQ for whatever tactics that they want to use it for. But in both those stories, nobody knew who they were. Everybody just heard the story. And this is very important. They just heard the story. So I needed a new angle because I had different stories. I went back to everybody to talk about the time frames when this happened, and I added a timestamp to their story. And funny enough, both stories occurred at the same time frame, and I found more and more links between the two stories. And eventually, it brought me to the people that were accused for making the videos. And spoiler alert, they didn't make any videos. But no worries, we will come back to how I got to this conclusion itself. So, if he didn't make any videos, and if he didn't give information to the red base, where did that story come from? Where did it all started? I must be missing a important detail. And I was. There was a big hole in my story. The source. Where did the whole story come from? I did what most people should do. I went back to the people that I knew. I went back to the people that gave me their stories, and I asked for more details. I already got their time frames. I got information. But I kept asking for that one little detail that might have not been important to them, but might be crucial for the completion of the story. I was missing that key ingredient that would complete the whole circle. Where did the story come from originally? But nobody could point me in any direction. I was going in circles. I went around and around, back to the people, back to the same people. But then after a talk with the blue commander, he mentioned something. He heard that the 25th Mountaineers brought a blue injured player back to their base, and that's where the story came from. He just mentioned that after an hour of talking, maybe not an hour, like half an hour or something. He mentioned that at the end of our conversation, and I was like, bum, bum, bum. This is what I need. Because we didn't have that much mag, so I knew which people were driving in and out, so I could talk to those people. That was my new angle to work from, to find finally the source of the story. And so I tracked down the guy with the injured foot that was brought back to the blue base by a red car, and that wasn't that hard because of the help of the people that I knew in the blue team, and they went to their Discord and they started looking for people that might know things. And when I came to the guy with the injured foot and he confirmed the car that brought him up there, and there was only one person left to call, and that was the people from the car that brought the injured foot guy back to the blue base. And when I called the guy and he picked up the phone, the first line he said to me was, "I think I know why you're calling me. I think I started the rumor." The rumor. Not the story, the rumor. And let's start working from there. And after hours and hours of talking to people from different teams, I finally cracked it. And you had no idea how that made me feel. It was like an eureka moment. Everything fell into place. I was like, yes. I never expected it to happen because usually with rumors you never know. But here I was... it felt nice to finally crack it. And finally being able to tell you the names of the spies that we had in the blue base. Yeah, we didn't. We didn't have any spies. No, we didn't. No. There were no spies. No spies in the blue base. No red spies giving information. No videos being recorded. It was just a rumor. And the rumor grew. And things were added into the rumor. And because I had all the information, I could exactly pinpoint where what happened, what was added into the story, and where the story was altered to something else. And at the end of the video, I will also go over how this could have been avoided. What steps that could have been made to avoid this, or at least do something instead of letting the story grow into a story that will ruin the gameplay for a lot of people, and not only during the game, but also after the game, and even the games to come if we don't solve this now. And to illustrate that, let's go to the box of control, how I like to call it. And in the box of control, you could actually see where it all started, and the box of control is where you still have control over the story and where you can still stop it. Well, almost stop it. But as soon as it goes out of the box, there is no way of stopping the story. The best you can do is damage control. So there's somebody from red talking to blue, and then it starts to spread in blue like wildfire. Things are happening. It goes to red, it goes to yellow, it goes to crew, and after that, like I said, it's out of control. It's everywhere, and each version of the story is different, so it's very hard to bring them all back to one source. And now let's go over the timeline and put all the pieces in the puzzle to show you what actually happened. Now, I will not use any names in this, but I will use some ranks, because I do believe that if you take up a leading role, you have a certain responsibility to take care of. And you are responsible for certain decisions that you make during the game. Alright, here we go. Story time. It's Wednesday, red base, and the battle is raging over the base. Blue players try to overthrow the HQ, but they fail. The red team repels all attacks, and after hours and hours of fighting, everything calms down and we can lick our wounds. A blue player injured his foot. Supported by his friends, he plans to go back to their base on foot. But red mechanized peeps see what is going on and propose to transport the injured player back to his base. And you should know by now that mostly people have friends in all teams playing on different sides, red, blue or yellow. Everyone chooses what works best for him that specific year. And while driving up to the blue base, the red and blue players are talking about the Wednesday fights and joking around, and suddenly a blue car passes them. And the gunner in the red car says, "Hey, those guys that just passed us are spies that we have in your base." This, ladies and gentlemen, is where the rumor starts. This exact moment is where all the shitstorm came from. This line. And those words spoken from the gunner to the injured player. And now let's find out how the story grows. And by this time it's Wednesday night, and the injured player reports back to HQ. Him and the CEO are friends, so the injured player tells him what he heard in the car. There are red spies in the blue base. And by the way, I saw skinny bitch from the 25th Mountaineers in the red base. Now let's stop right here. I wanted to find out how our team name got involved into this, because I knew that nobody in our team did anything wrong. And there were two options. Well, later there's a third option coming in, but right here at this time we already have two options how our team name got involved into that. One, our team patch is in the car that brought the blue players back to their base. And the second one, the two stories just got merged in together. Like the commander misheard the person, or after an hour he merged the two stories into one story in his head. And that's actually what the commander confirmed to me, that this was what happened. But when I talked to the injured foot guy, he told me a different story. He told two stories. But when I talked to the commander, there was only one story. 25th Mountaineers have spies in the blue base. Alright, let's get back to the story. Thursday morning, the commander tasked his mech commander to find those bloody spies. This, ladies and gentlemen, is where the story gets out of hand. This is where we come to the edges of the box of control. And Thursday morning, a witch hunt started for the spies. And people got questioned. Did you see someone doing something suspicious? Did you hear something weird? And this is where the making videos starts dripping in, because people saw people making videos during their briefings because they just wanted to have videos of the briefings, or they just wanted to have recordings for, like what I do. I just make videos about the games. But suddenly that was suspicious, and people started questioning that. And some people saw people making videos, and that was reason enough to accuse them. But to make things worse, at some point the mech was giving an order to see how the red team was going to react to it. And when suddenly the red team reacted to those movements, the story was confirmed. There are spies giving information to the red team about their movements. Now, what the blue team didn't notice was that there was a drone hovering above their heads, showing me exactly what they were doing. So, yeah, we knew what was happening without us having to have spies in there. So, yeah. And after a surge from the blue team, those players were located and they were put in fictional prison. They were not allowed to play anymore, and Berget crew got involved. And not only commanders called Berget crew, players called Berget crew because the situation was getting really out of hand. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where we are outside of the box of control. This is where the story is living its own life amongst the players. And actually, a funny thing that happened was, remember the guy in the beginning with the injured foot? He gave me a story, because when I asked him, what did you hear about the stories that were going around about having spies? And he didn't hear about the spy story. He heard about videos being made in the blue team, sending them to the red team. Not realizing that he was the source of the story, but the story was already so altered and so many different elements were added into the story and the story came back to him as a different story. And that was the story that he told me about what happened in the blue base. And we went full circle. And this is how you need to be very careful of information that is coming to you and how to act on it, or at least don't act on it. Now, after some time, Berget crew arrived to discuss the situation. Red HQ get a call and asked if we have spies in there. And even Berget crew points out to the blue commander that there are drones in the air, Red can see your movement, and at this specific time, we had a drone above the blue base. So we could see exactly what was going on. And for the red team, HQ got a call. I got a call from HQ to ask me if I have any knowledge about what is going on in the blue base. And the one thing that we heard from HQ was that blue was turning on each other. They were not trusting their commanders anymore. People were putting in prison and all that. Well, the whole story information came to us in a very brief way. Now, we gave the answer, no, we don't know anything about that, and we went on with the missions. Because we were being attacked from multiple sides at the same time, we had other things to worry about. And by this time, almost the whole blue base knew a version of the story. And actually, some people heard multiple versions of the same story, which they thought were multiple events, but actually it was just one event. Now, after the game, we on the red team, we didn't think much about it. Like, for us, that was done. That it was blue base. They had to handle what was going on in their base. And on the beer party, nobody mentioned it. Nobody talked about it. And then afterwards, I thought, well, it was mostly because it was red players. There were only a few blue players at the beer party. And that's why I think beer parties are so important. Because then you can talk to the people and you can be like, no, that's not true. This is a rumor. And you can ask them things if you're not certain about things. That's actually why I made the live stream after Berget, because there was so much shit going around from people accusing people that I was just like, let's bring everybody together. Let's talk about what actually happened. And that was a very opening conversation. And it started for me to get some people to talk to about the story that I needed to investigate. And then when I was home, or on our way home, there was more stories starting to show up. But it was always on the internet. It was always after the game. And well, at least in a hotel, there were blue players. They were accusing the red players that they were doing something wrong. But the red players didn't know anything about that. It was only the blue players that knew the story. And friends asked me if I knew anything about the spies. And the last thing was the Discord. And that's where our team name got mentioned. That was the first time that I actually heard that our team name was involved into this. And that one post made me create this video, do all the investigation. And that brings us to the point where we are today while I'm making this video. Now, this brings us to almost the end of the story, because there is no evidence at all that Red had spies in the blue base. Not at all. There is not one thing that confirms it. There were no videos made. Well, there might have been videos made, but those videos were never sent to the Red HQ. Blue players made videos. I saw YouTube videos. But those videos were all off game. They were never sent to HQ. And there is no evidence of Red HQ or any Red player receiving a video from a blue player involving any tactics, any movements, any battle plans or whatsoever. There is no evidence of such thing. But there is evidence. There is one big crucial piece of evidence. And that is that this story shows how rumors spread. This is exactly what happens on every single Airsoft game. And this is actually the first time that I want to make a video because this was so big. There was so many people involved in this story that I wanted to make this video as an example for you as a player to understand what rumors can do to you, your players, the enemy team, the friendly team, the crew involved, and the game itself. If this doesn't get resolved in any way or form, it will be used next year. You will hear people say, hey, Red is winning. You know why? Because they have spies again. No, we don't. There are no spies. There were no spies. There was no videos. There was nothing. It was a rumor, a joke. It was a joke from a Red player to a blue player that were joking in their car. That's it. All the rest was made up by people themselves. So if you hear a rumor or you hear a story and you're not sure if the story is true, don't spread the story. Just if you're not sure, go check the facts. If you're sure that something's going on, you talk to crew. And if crew confirms that it's not true, believe crew. Because crew is the people that create the game. They know what's going on. They have an understanding of what is going on. They have experience of this. They know what to do in those situations. Listen to crew. If you have any doubts, contact crew and they will solve it for you. And with this video, one thing that I want to do is I want to show you what can happen if one joke is made and it's altered into a massive story that involves hundreds of players and hours of game time and this massive game itself. Now, there were a few things that could have been done to have this avoided. I told you that I was going to over those things. Let's get cracking. At some point, this was still controllable, but choices were made to make it go out of hand and make it escalate into what it is today. And that's what I meant with the box of control. Inside the box of control, there was a lot you can do. Now, after a point, there is no going back. But still, there is a way to do damage control, which is very important as a commanding officer to take up your responsibility and do that if you know the full story. Now, when a story of cheating in the game comes up to your ears of anyone, you bring it up to your command and contact crew if needed, and this will sort it out. That was the first thing you should do. 2, don't start your own investigation and accusing people during the game. That's the task for the crew itself. Now you may say, Rob, you're doing your own investigation. Yes, I am. But I involved all elements and I only bring the story when I know the full circle, the full fruit, and if I only knew a part of it, I wouldn't bring it out. But when I found the source and I have the full circle, I have every piece of the puzzle, yeah, sure, I'm gonna bring you the story because this is what exactly happened. Not something that might have happened. And when you talk to crew after something happened, trust their judgment. Because like I said, they have their experience and they are the people to control the game. Some things might actually be in game mechanics. Just follow along, go with what crew says about the situation. And if you hear a story about cheating and other things, just don't spread it. It's just bad information. It's not good for morale. It's just keep it for yourself and keep on with your game. And lastly, maybe the most important one, if you're in command, take up responsibility for something that happens. If you cannot stop the story and you know the truth about it and you know that nothing is true about it, assemble your people, assemble your leaders, tell them what is going on so they can bring it to their people. If you know that something cooking in your base and people are really upset and they think that something is true which isn't, and you know it's not, and you're not doing anything about it, you are not taking up your responsibility as a commander. You should bring important information to your people, bad and good. And to do that, communication is key. And it's something that I always tell people that are going to Bergen. Communication is one of the most important parts. Communication is key in all parts of the game to win, but also to keep everybody in the loop of what is going on. Now, that was a bit of a different video than I'm usually making, but I did want to do this video so bad, and it took me a while to figure out how to do the video and how to bring it to you without being just a boring talking video, which it probably is gonna be, but it is such an important topic, and this was actually the first time that I had a chance to make a video like this because of I found out the truth and the size of the story that went around. I also want to thank everyone that spoke to me. I want to thank everybody that gave me a piece of the puzzle, even if you didn't know that you were giving me a piece of the puzzle. It was very interesting for me to get everything together. It was actually fun to find the answer, the truth about a story that I've heard during the game. And hopefully we don't have to make another video next year about this situation. And if you have any questions about this, please contact me. Also, if you think I made a mistake, if something is missing in this puzzle, let me know. I'm very curious on if I made a mistake, or I'm missing a part, or you heard a different story that might be integrated in this one. Let me know so I can add it into my crazy micro board. You know where to find me. So if you have any complaints or anything you want to add, just add it in the comments underneath this video. And Berget is coming up again in a few weeks, months, and I'm really looking forward to the game. I hope everybody else is also looking forward to the game. It's gonna be an awesome one. Yeah, let's see each other there in Sweden for another amazing game. And yes, more gameplay videos are coming in the channel very soon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.